Mhm.
Hi, I'm researcher Ryan. I am a Pokemon and variety streamer here on Twitch. I do a lot of Pokemon content, plus some random content in between. And I'm also a professional motion graphic designer for reality television. So it's kind of where my expertise will lie in this topic. And yeah, up to you.
I'm Jess or Horse or there's so many things. I am the resident watcher and professional lurker for a lot of Twitch, um, which is where I get to have my like expertise in this area. I just get to say that I watch a whole lot of streams. I feel very strongly about things that
I like
really,
this. I don't like this.
yeah. Gonna start getting dark in my room.
Oh, go, go, go. Just like all of you. Hi.
Oh yes, I love this.
I love it. We look great. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's as good as it's gonna be.
looks great. Love it. Love to see it.
Mhm. Anything else they desire. Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's really bad. It's very dumb.
Fix your UI. You're zoomed in. You had zoomed in slightly, and so it wasn't gonna let you.
This one has a lot more than this one. Oh no!
It wasn't gonna let you tab over.
There's baby in the corner.
It's a great term.
Probably even the middle is like middle of the corners of the screen, the edge of the screen. Mm-hmm. Yep. Screenshots. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 These are some of the things that we believe are like the fundamentals, and fundamentals can be broken as long as they work.
Right. And none of these like layouts inherently is better than the other. It's just how you utilize what
The
is there and what
space.
space you have. So it's not that the layout is good or bad. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, touching tips.
Yeah, this would be a touching
Mhm.
tips. Mm-hmm. It looks more like a box. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this works really well because specifically because of the aspect ratios, right?
Uh, LQ, really quick. You can't be heard, apparently. Yeah. So everything that we've said has not been heard
No,
at all. So we're probably gonna have to go back and re-explain
everything
some stuff.
I've said.
Yeah,
can't be
everything
heard.
you said.
Oh no. Oh hey Yagi.
Oh, you hear him.
Nope. I got it. I muted.
What?
I muted myself. I was muted.
Oh.
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
Panda.
Nice.
Hi,
Yeah,
Yagi.
welcome.
Basically, hi, I'm LQ. I do variety stuff. We have 3 major layouts that we're going to talk about. They're touching tips. And the aspect ratio on the stream is going to be a little weird comparatively to what we're going to see because I dropped some of it. Which I can fix if I really want to, but it's fine. Basically, there's 3 major layers we're going to talk about. It's overlays. It's baby in a corner, which is basically just your cameras on top of your content. There's touching tips, which just means that your content and your video and your camera don't touch at all. And then there's overlap, which is where your content covers a corner of your content. Your face covers a corner of your content. And then this is the first one we're talking about. So you really didn't miss much. And then thank you for telling me I was muted.
Yeah.
Because that's something I wouldn't have noticed for a really long time.
Yeah. Also, then all the names that are visible on stream are people we got permission from, and anything that isn't seen name-wise, we don't have permission from.
Yes. And art is subjective. So if you like something and we don't, that's totally fine. Also, Horse or JCZ1997 is an up-and-coming streamer, but not really. We're trying to get them to 50 followers so we can get them affiliate without them streaming.
They're at 40 right now. Let's go.
I think they're at 40 right now. So you have people in your community who are just willing to follow people. Send them to Jess. Okay, I think we've covered everything that we've talked about.
Yes, I believe so.
In the last 40 seconds. Or in the last however long we've been live. Anyway, back here. But yeah, so this is a touching tips. It's got their nice banner on top. Because obviously they realize that the 4x whatever doesn't fit perfectly in this space, or if it did, they're willing to sacrifice this little tiny bit on top to let their subs and stuff count. And actually what's really cool about here is that it's showing their most recent subs and the times that they've resubbed, which I think is really cool.
Yes. I am a sucker for a good theme. And that comes back a lot here. But I love how everything here is themed. And this I think has a lot more of a subtle theme than some of the other ones that we have.
It's the paw print.
It's the paw print, but then if you look at their emotes, all of their emotes are related, and that's a completely different thing, right? But everything is very thematic, but it's simply done.
Correct.
It doesn't feel overly busy.
Yes, I talk about this person a lot in this quarter. His community is called the Pug Farm, which is adorable. And all of his stuff is pug related, and he doesn't own a pug. He owns a Labradoodle.
I love it.
That reminds me of Stella and the Corgi Club.
Yeah, basically same.
That's the exact same premise, yeah.
But this also really works well for his content, right? So this is really important in this type of content, which if you're not privy to it, it's randomizer for a link to the past. But this information is important for people who watch this content. So it's got just as much real estate as his face does.
Yes.
But it's also not overbearing. It's not there's not a lot going on. So it's the content is the main focus, and then him and then...
I think it also helps because his background in his actual camera is interesting enough, but without being overly just filled with stuff and kind of looking junky, right? There are some nice pictures. It looks like they're Link pictures in the background from
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But there's some things of interest, but it's not let me pack every single thing I own into this small corner to stream.
Yes.
But if his walls were just white and there was nothing behind him, his camera would feel too big, or could feel too big, because there's nothing filling that expansion of white.
Right.
Yeah, I've had that problem, right? And that's why I've recently switched to 4x3 and considered going to 1x1 by Ryan's. 1x1 is just the same thing as 4x3, except the ratio is 1:1, so it's actually a square.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've considered that too. But that was a big problem with me. Is I have a lot of dead space behind me in this space. In other spaces I didn't. I had a lot of trinkets behind me, so like changing over for that was
Right. I think this layout works really well. For a couple of different reasons. I would say the biggest pro to the way everything is laid out here and the size of everything is the size of everything. But it does take into consideration the different types of monitors that people will be watching on Twitch. Because you have to consider when you have an overlay on your stream, you have to consider that people won't always be watching while they're sitting at a computer. They'll be watching on Twitch Mobile. They'll be watching maybe on a big screen TV. They might be watching on the refrigerator of a smart refrigerator. I don't know.
That's my dream. That's my
yeah,
dream, just to watch Twitch
honestly.
while I cook food on my refrigerator.
Honestly.
Isn't that all our dreams?
But it works out great because if someone is watching this person on mobile, you can still see the game and you can see the reaction and the items without losing any of that information. But if you were to watch it on a big screen TV, he's not so large that he's overbearing and you don't miss it. Which is a very hard balance to find when you're doing something like this, and it's just framing in general. It plays, I think, really well to a good rule thirds where he's not super big in one of the thirds, but he does take up a good chunk of the like top left third, as well as
Takes up pretty much a third of the third.
He takes up 2/3, I would say, probably of the third. But yeah, he does a great job at that. And then just aesthetically, it works really well. The colors aren't super crazy. There's not a whole heck of a lot of dead space real estate that he's using for like animation, so like the background doesn't need to be doing anything fancy. And that's really great for CPU processing too. And it's really nice having that like on the thing there too.
Something you just said that kicked something in my brain is where do you think his alerts are on the screen? When he has alerts going?
I would imagine that he placed his alerts on his gameplay, or he put them on his face.
Jess, would you like?
I would have put them over this, over the like trinkety things in the bottom corner, because that has the ability to be covered for a moment without like disrupting anything.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what he puts it. He puts it here, and it basically covers the whole box, which is great, because it like doesn't distract from everything else that's going on, which I think is a key thing to kind of think about. When you have a layout that is really good like this, that like, right? Because if you had just put it like in the center of his game or even up here, it can be really distracting if he gets like a 10 if bomb or something. It just keeps going. So I think that's just something else to kind of think about in layout design. Where should your alerts go?
That could be the hardest part, depending on your real estate too, and what you have left, depending on what you have on your screen. Because if you make, and I don't recommend, because I've tried it, I don't recommend making a specific alerts box, because then it just takes up real estate that you could use for something else.
Yeah, agreed.
The other thing I really like about this layout is his chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
because there's enough chat that I could jump in right here and say, okay, he's probably answering this question about like, what game is this? Cool. I can jump in, and if I'm there, I can see the last couple things of lines of text, but it's not like a whole bunch of it, and it isn't disappearing.
Yes,
like there is a dedicated chat box, and the chats aren't going away.
we have a big distaste for chat boxes where the text disappears, because then it's like, well, why do you have a chat box?
Again, that is one of the few
you
things.
Need to keep your full chat on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Visible.
That's one of the things that I got really passionate about, and I think kind of sparked some of this, because I was like, this is pointless. You have a huge chat box and there's no chat in it.
Yeah, it's one of the bad things. All right, let's move on to the next person before we keep going.
Yeah.
And I'll zoom in a little bit on this guy, which I have to remember to zoom out. But here is I don't know who this is.
I would say that this is another example of touching tips.
This is 100% another example of touching tips.
Because
it's not over the content.
And I think my issue with this is that the game is just so small and there's so much wasted real estate.
There is a lot of wasted real estate here.
And again, this is I don't know, like you can't tell, but this is a chat box in which the chats disappear.
Yes.
Yeah.
This person I think was going for like 2 or 3 hours at that point. When we took the screenshot. But yeah, so they have a chat box where the chat disappears because obviously the chat's not here, and like even if
there was
like,
chat in the chat.
Yeah.
Also, we made a highlight here of this exact thing. I know Jess wanted to talk about it. So their Instagram handle and their Twitch handle or their Twitter handle are the same thing. So if they wanted to save real estate and put something else down here, but like it's too small, they could have combined these together and had one tag, these two things, and then just had the one tag for YouTube, and then had basically this whole real estate here for like.
And they could have put their alert box down there.
Right.
Possibly switched their face in the chat box and then made the chat box cover the game because it's not like there's chat staying in the chat box.
So fundamentally here, I think things are just not pieced well together. Right? Like the puzzles pieces are put in the wrong spot here.
Yeah. It's just a little awkward.
You look at where like the game is lined up versus where his camera is and his chat box is. It's like it feels weird, right? So honestly, if I was to restructure this, I would move his gameplay footage up and then move his alerts or his like the thing that he has on top. I would move that down into the bottom right and then probably go in a stack of 3 with his instead of laying them out vertically, laying them out horizontally, I would lay out the links out or the URLs or the usernames out vertically and stack them, and it would fit better nicely. And I know that the argument is that you can condense down the Instagram and the Twitter. I will also argue that there are a lot of people who won't get that, and they need it fully spelled out for them. Because
that is fair,
and it's really unfortunate because we like to imagine that and we give everybody the gratitude or whatever it is that they are very capable of thinking that. But if it's not directly spelled out, hey, what is the Instagram link? They won't necessarily see that Instagram link that's there automatically.
I think that his are fine, right? Like he could condense it down if he needed space.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Right.
There are other ones where like it takes up so much area because it's huge and it's like not helpful.
There are other ones where there's like 5 of these. So it's like
right, and if there's 5 of them and they're all the same, at that point, just put like one of them and then have like a socials thing that comes up in your chat or a socials thing down in your
another thing that works is a
cards.
Scroll. Like a scroll that animates them going through, and it changes every like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like where it just goes through that.
Fun fact, and we're not sponsored, but Nerd or Die actually just came out with like scrolling chat thing that's like free to download. So check out Nerd or Die because they have some really cool shit in there. Anyway,
the other thing is that he's not looking at his game.
No.
He is actively looking the exact opposite direction. He is looking to the right and up when his game is to the left and down.
Yeah, and that's a minor thing, but it does actually impact a lot for somebody who's watching.
It does a lot. It's like because a minor thing, but it's not.
It's not something that'll keep somebody from clicking on to the stream to get it seen, like to get that initial view. But it is something that will keep somebody from staying there.
See, I disagree because I won't go into someone's chat if they're not looking at the game. Like that's just something I look at when I look at it.
And to me, it feels almost, and I know that that's like an unfair thing to say. This is an unfair thing to say, but it feels like they're disinterested. They're playing the game. Maybe they're probably not disinterested in what they're doing, but it just feels off.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah,
there's a weird disconnect. Like the two things are not working together here. Like if they were on opposite sides, it would look great. But
it looks like it was haphazardly thrown together. And so there was no form of effort or like thought put into, and that's not true, right? Like all of his colors work well together. Everything, like his color scheme, great. Like the background, I'm pretty sure was static.
No, it was moving.
Yeah.
It was moving. I couldn't remember. But like it's not like overly distracting. It's not super
Mhm.
busy. It's clean. There are things that need cleaned up. But like having him look the opposite direction is like it's a turn off.
I was gonna say that the aesthetic is really nice, right? The whole like
Yes, I do love
blue
this aesthetic.
and the like the nice
And I
like,
think
second two borders, but the second border is more animated because I think the second border wasn't animated. Kind of, like works really well. So like there are things we like here. I know because we've just talked a lot about things.
Right. I also think that it's nice that the background part is darker and then the borders and stuff are brighter because it highlights them. It makes you go, look, this is where you're supposed to be looking. But it's not like using a white background to where when you're watching it late at night in your room, because that's where a lot of us watch Twitch, and it's like dark, you're not burning your retinas out because the whole thing is super bright.
Yeah.
But fun fact, most people consume media on the toilet. So
yeah, that's fair.
Late at night. You can look. That's a statistic. Look that up.
I get that. I get it though. I do.
I do.
I feel like I need to apologize. Not everybody hates burning their retinas out.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. 100%.
The
Mikyagi seems to really love burning his retinas out. So like, I get it. I get it. I don't like burning my retinas out. So maybe that's just me, but.
Yeah, if I can do one last little nitpick for this, and it's just the way his camera is framed. He is on such the opposite side, one side of his frame on his camera, and I get that he wants to show off his background, but I'm not there to see his background.
I'm there to clean up your background. Him. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The only other thing I have, and it's another minor thing, and it's not necessarily his fault because he can't control the length of people's usernames. But if you look at the top, there are the 3 black lines and the gray line. That gray line is somebody who'd subscribed, and it was so long it rolled into the other one and was like touching the other user.
So there's a solution for that you can make work for that. There's 2. There's like 2 solutions you can make work for that. Because I'm starting to run into that problem. And I've been problem solving it and troubleshooting it. It's how you would layer your layers in your overlay. You would have to make like 2 layers, 3 layers. You would have your background layer from your overlay that has the spot where that's the back panel for that text, and then you have the text layer above that in OBS that shows those names, and then you have the overlay above that's the frame, and so then it kind of gets the text of the person's username gets sandwiched in there. And then you do that, or you have a dedicated mask over those boxes so that anything that pops out of those boxes isn't there. And then, like Mikyagi said, you would enable the text scrolling so that you get to see the full name as it goes, but it never gets cut out and cut off or put out of these boxes. It's something I'm currently working on in my current overlay on my streams.
I don't have solutions for it. I just know that I was like, wow, I can't tell where the first username starts and the second where the first one ends. And again, I am just the consumer of it, and I can tell you what I don't like. I don't have solutions for you. Yeah. I don't know how to fix it. I can just tell you what needs fixed.
Ryan's going to give you a lot more solutions. Just going to give you a lot more what I like and don't like, and I'm going to be
and the fundamentals of how it could work too. Like it's like I said, it fits into its proportions weird. It doesn't fit like any sort of, like when I said it needs to be puzzle pieced better. It does need to be puzzle pieced better. Yeah. Because it doesn't fit any sort of like logical framing device, and on top of that, it doesn't even follow like an artistic creative device either, where it could follow something like the golden ratio. Like
there's just no flow to it, and there's still a lot of dead space.
Yeah,
I honestly don't mind the game in the middle as much as I thought I did. He also has a lot of real estate here, slightly bigger, because these boxes can touch. Right, I know it's like a faux pas to have your boxes touch, but like if your boxes touch and it's done correctly, it could be fine.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool.
I think there's a way to utilize the space that he's not utilizing that would make the game in the middle less like to me right now it feels out of place because there's so much extra space around it.
I agree.
It seems to me that he really wants to do. He's not really doing the tips touch thing, even though he's definitely doing a tips touch. And I think a lot of that might have to do with that he's not sure how to fix his aspect ratio on his camera, and change the aspect ratio on his camera. And that's definitely a problem that could happen.
And we talk a lot about, right, because Ryan and I both kind of design our layouts when we kind of want. We can edit like found layouts. Some people can't. So like this could also just be like he found a layout like this. And he like found this layout and he was like, oh, I like this layout. I'll put it in. Because like some people do give out free really bad layouts.
Yeah, it's really tough to find a really good layout. Like a lot of the default ones that are on Streamlabs, first off, everybody is using and you're not going to stand out. So if you're trying to like use one of those default layouts that are on Streamlabs or on Stream Elements or anything, everybody and their mother is using them, and unless you're doing something to change it, you're not going to stand out from the crowd. Some of them are really bad too. Like some of them just are not attractive looking.
Yeah, some of them are pretty gross.
Yeah, some of them I'm like, wow, when we were going through them, I was like, I really don't like this. And Elkie was like, it's a like pre-given Steam like Streamlabs one, and I'm like, wow, that's terrible.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't like
it. Let's move on before we.
And they're just and just like you could get a commission on Fiverr for a pretty good price, and you'll get something really amazing probably from the artist, and they'll give you a full set. Yeah, just do your shopping.
And typically they'll like let you redo. Like if you don't like something, you could be like, hey, I didn't really like this. Can we fix it? And they'll be like, yeah, that's part of what I sold you.
They need to be satisfied.
Here is another. So this actually is really a weird layout because it's not necessarily a 4x. This isn't really 4x3. This is actually 1x1.
Yeah, that's 1x1. Yeah,
and
I was gonna say.
He has 1x1, and then he has his face in a 16x9. But this, I like this, and I think this really kind of works.
I think it looks good at like parallel. Like you've got like almost like a very nice parallel going on between the chessboard and then his whole setup going on.
Yes. So
there's some dead space, but he's playing with it. I think.
See, but part of what we have like whited out in this middle is obviously his name, but it's also like the title. It's his title, and it's Grandmaster.
Yeah, he's a Grandmaster in chess,
which is huge. So this is very specific to this game because it is very, very simple in a really good way.
Yeah,
like it's not overly busy, it's not crazy, it's simplistic, it's clean, it's nice. Underneath the alert, which I think is also really well placed, underneath it in his background, there's a chessboard.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure there's significance. I don't know what it is.
I think he puts like a different chess match of history to what he's currently trying to play on stream.
That's cool. But I think it's very well done because it's very it's simple, and it gives a really nice place to be like, this is where my alerts can go, and they're not covering my face.
He plays really well with where his alerts should go, which is one of the things we've been talked about earlier, right? Your alerts being placed in a spot that isn't going to obstruct things. A great solution, right? Because like there are times when like, and we haven't seen any of them yet, but the people who do Baby in a Corner, they don't have that extra real estate to kind of do.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they have to put it on content, but they can pick and choose where that goes, and typically they'll just do it where it's always going to be in the same spot because that's more convenient in general. And some games it really should be moved.
Yeah.
We'll see examples of Corner in a minute.
Baby in the Corner is tough if you're doing that as your streamer setup, because ideally you'd want to remain consistent in where you keep yourself, so the audience, returning members or returning people who come to your channel will always know where to look, and it's basically muscle memory.
I think it's more difficult when you stream variety games.
Yes,
because there are
100%.
Plenty of streamers that do Baby in a Corner that only stream one game. So they have to have one setup, and it works great because they have mastered where things need to go for this one game.
Yep. And they never play anything else, so they're
Yeah.
there already.
Or if they do play the odd one-off game, like
It's not.
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't stick around. It's not something
Yeah.
that's like consistently there.
But yeah, I think this really works, especially for what he's trying to show. And I just wanted to
Mhm.
show that like you can be simple and it still works. You don't have to be overly complicated.
His colors are great. Like his whole color palette, this monotone
Mhm.
color palette is amazing. I love the light blues and the way they look. The chessboard, I know that's from like the aesthetic of the game app that he's playing.
But you can change that in the game app. That is
Yeah.
you can change that to be like there's like slew. There's like 55.
Do they all have that like kind of grungy
No.
like texturing on them? No, they don't. That's really cool then. I think it really fits well. It's a nice
I
like,
think it was a very like distinct choice.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I agree with you, Dougie. The creamy white background kind of give that nice brick.
What's also
And
good here, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Jess, but this is something that I struggle with, is that he's using solid color very well. If you look like and I always find that really, really tough. Like there is subtle gradients because of how I'm assuming some inner glow effects are on like his like top borders here. Yeah, you can see those right there. But like where his like sub donor stuff is and where his chess.com thing is, those are just solid colors.
I think
And that's it. And that's really tough to make it work.
And I think why it works is because it looks like the other two boxes are inset. So his camera has this like shadow around it,
Yes.
making it feel like it's inset, and that those like just solid color ones are almost like ribbons on a box or like labels.
You know,
so they're like the front thing.
You know what this like shadow reminds me of is when the shadow of when you like go onto onto like Discord and like pop-up show up that I'm doing right now. And it's got that like gradient. That's exactly what that reminds me. And I'm wondering if he's in a Discord call recording his Discord call instead of recording his camera. I don't think he is, but it would be really funny if he is.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy enough to if you on your overlay you add a drop shadow onto an alpha channel. It's pretty easy enough that reads.
I just think it's funny that it kind of looks like.
It looks really good though.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit of extra detail that adds a little bit of and that adds a little bit of detail and depth that will make it look interesting and not flat. And that's a problem with some overlays too, is that they look flat. When you want probably just even the slightest bit of depth, it makes things pop out and make them look more interesting.
Yeah, recording in Discord does make sense. Actually, that's how we're doing it right now. My camera is through Discord. But he's by himself, so I think he is just using like an alpha channel, like Ryan's saying.
Yeah.
He's just having a drop shadow. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to show you that simple can also work.
I would love if OBS just had like drop shadow effects
So
on anything. I'd make life a million times easier. Come on, OBS, get on it.
So
oh god,
we have these three here because we wanted to talk about theming a little bit.
Again, I am in love with a good theme.
And we also want to talk about starting, ending, and meteor back screens and how it's nice when they're really similar and they're not all over the place. We didn't grab a lot of examples of bad ones. Just because
because the bad ones you have to scrub through to find them, and it's only really when you're watching it that you're like, that is bad.
Yeah.
It's not great.
But we just want to talk about theming for a second, and theming works really well here, but we all know that because it's been try to plug in. Yagi, I would love to talk to you more about OBS.
Yeah.
I think that's
yes, please.
We will have a call with you soon, sir.
100.
Yeah, this. Let's talk about this for a second.
So
I have an immediate thing I want to say I dislike, and I hate it so much, and it happens so often. Fucking naked mics, man. Like, what is this? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get why it's there, because obviously he's framed himself in his camera, and he's on a green screen, and he's trying to sit behind a desk. But naked pipes, I hate. I hate naked pipes, I hate naked mics. They're gross. I have said my piece.
There's a couple solutions to fix that. It depends on what he's using, though, for his mic arm.
Yeah.
If he's using a boom mic arm and it's like mine, if it's like mine where it just is on a stick like this, that's really tough to fix.
Oh, I know.
However, the solution would then to try to lower it as much as you can and then point it up like it's coming up from the desk. And then it's fine.
My favorite thing about this is just like he's sitting at a table. Let's he's sitting at like a talk show table in this shot. Nobody's desks or tables comes up to here.
Yeah.
Your desk hits you at your belly button-ish area. So it's just a really weird framing theme.
Chest, yeah.
It's like just a really weird frame thing for me to have him just like look, and I'm like, something is off. And it's not enough for me to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch this. I can't watch this. This is dumb. I actually do watch this person. I love them. I think they're great. Every time it's so Mikyagi, the issue is that later he has a podium one and it looks fine. But in this one, there's like a zoomed out shot where it's him at a talk show table. And it's just amusing because it's just slightly off.
Yeah, it's just a little too off.
It's a little uncanny.
Yeah.
And it can be it for us, right? It's not that big of an issue, but it's a little bit of an issue. There are people though who'll be like, this is a little uncanny valley or whatever, and they won't watch it.
Right.
They don't, because it hurts them to some degree. Like it'll mess with them so much.
To be fair, those people will get to about 25-30 minutes from this moment and then turn it off anyway because he does some really weird shit.
He gets real weird.
He gets very weird on stream.
But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I just wanted this to be. This is one of the earlier ones we grabbed.
Also, just naked mics.
Just naked mics. Like that was the whole point.
Naked mic is like the worst part. Everything else though, like looks really cool. The whole set
I absolutely
awesome,
love. I love this glow that he has on his like logo and how it's all the LED stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The theming stuff here. So see right here, Mikyagi, where his mic is like cut off in space.
The void of space, yeah, like by nothing.
That's
what we mean.
This right there.
The hard edge cut.
That is a naked mic.
Yeah. That is a naked mic. That also comes from the idea of naked pipes in like certain video.
Movies too.
Movies have it too. I don't know if you have it either, Miguel, but if you do, I don't notice it because your layout is really interesting in other places.
Yeah,
and you're also not like mainly looking at your face.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in your overlay.
I will say that I absolutely love the way Mikyagi's layout is, and I don't think we pulled any screenshots from it because when we looked at it, we were like,
"We can go look at a VOD right now."
God, it was so pretty. It's so nice.
As long as Mikyagi says yes right now in chat.
Yeah.
but yeah, I like the theming here. I really do. Okay. Oh, you're not gonna let me. I clicked into it. This is Easy Beezy's.
Yes.
This is something we wanted to talk about. In general, where somebody can make mistakes and they can see that these mistakes are happening, for like certain things, right? And they can say like, "Man, these things don't work," and these things do work.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at this in a screenshot scenario, it kind of works, right? Like Miyagi saying he really likes it. And we know that Easy, the guy who this is from, doesn't like this. He hated this.
So there were a couple reasons he didn't like this, and we had talked about it for a while. He didn't like it because you couldn't see. So 2 of our players don't ever have their cameras on, so you can't ever see their faces, but it made everybody else's faces really small, so you couldn't actually see the reactions. And because it was just us recording Discord and it kept freaking the freak out, he couldn't like play with it and get things to look the way it needed to. And he was like, this looks like something that anybody could make.
So he went, so he right, so it is good, right? If it's like something like you want something really simple and everybody has cameras and it all kind of works. But he went back and he redesigned it and he made this, which he likes a lot more and you love.
I love this. And I think he's making another iteration to fix some of the things he's not as in love with for this.
Mhm.
But what I really like about this is because a lot of times when it comes to D&D, you don't go to the D&D stream to watch the map.
Right.
Like, the map is nice to see because it's a visual image, but when you tune into a D&D stream, you're not as focused on the map, you're focused on the players. Because the players and their reactions are really what you want to see.
Right.
And so this allowed for all of the cameras to be bigger, and so you could actually see the reactions. And, like, shenanigans all the time in these streams. Like,
Right.
you go to these streams to watch the people because the people in these streams are really funny. And I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the 3 on the right. Because I love
There are
watching
5
their
on the right?
cameras and interacting with them. They're on the right.
I said there are 5 on the right.
You can't see 2 of their cameras, though.
That's true. But you said the 3 on the right. There's 5.
Yes, the 3 cameras on the right.
Yeah. So the one thing that I will say that that could solve an issue like this is multiple scenes. Most D&D streams will have multiple different scenes depending on the scenario of what's happening on stream. They'll have a spot that's just the cameras of the players with their character's name underneath them and maybe the player stats that scroll to the middle. And the one that comes to mind is Stella Luna when she does her D&D streams. She has a layout for when we're RPing and or for when the players are RPing and the DM is doing their thing, and then she has another thing for combat. So there'll be another window for when they're on combat. In this case, it would be for dungeon crawling. You have another scene that goes into the dungeon crawl. There's a lot of stuff. I love the aesthetic and the theme that goes on here. I think this is great. The one thing I will say as someone who would watch a D&D stream, I don't know who any of the characters are in this show.
Right. And I know that is something that he's working on. Again, he's working toward another iteration because he's had that where people are like, well, I want to know, like, I don't
know who they are.
That, like,
Right.
I see that, like, this person is a dragonborn or whatever. But I think what I liked about this in particular was the way that the map looks, because he wanted to make the map that we were playing on look like an actual scrolled map that you would like have picked up and seen, and made it feel almost like you were staring at this table and you were part of this adventuring group where you're like looking at this map, watching what's going through.
Oh yeah. He nailed that. That's great. Yeah.
And I think it's great. I do. Yeah. I understand the names. I know he was trying to set stuff up for that. And obviously, like, for this one, I have a little bit more of an insider scoop for the way the layout was going and the intentions behind it.
Obviously.
But I do love the differences between this one and the last one, because the last one worked. It just wasn't. It was the example of there's good solutions and then there's better solutions. So this is a good solution, but the other one is a better solution. And then there's a better solution than this.
Right.
Adding your names, adding some other things, but it's like,
and the problem too with D&D streams for me is, like, I don't know if I should put the player's name or the character's name. And I personally would say I want the characters' names so that if I jump into a D&D stream and I don't have to wait to hear a character's name get called to know what's happening, who's who in the story.
Right. Which I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think the characters' names are more important, especially because most D&D streams, your players and your DMs refer to people not by their names, but by their characters' names. So in this, we don't call Easy, we call him Laddie. So it would be more helpful if their D&D names were on screen.
The generalized point that we were trying to make with the comparison between this one and this one is that if you don't like something, go and iterate. Go try changes, see if they work or don't work. Just because you've done something that doesn't work doesn't mean you have to keep doing the thing that doesn't work. We all know it takes a lot of time to design things and, like, rechange your layouts. I've had hours and hours and hours of doing it, and it's a very important part.
100%.
You want it to look good.
Revisions are key in art in general, and that's what a stream overlay is. I don't care what anybody says. It's an art.
It is.
It's art, and you can see if anybody's ever followed my channel for longer than like a month, they'll see I constantly change my channel overlay and stuff because I'm constantly trying to revise and make and optimize, make things look better, make things like themed better.
Yep.
They and they do get better over time. Every time I think I've come out with a new thing, they get a little bit better.
I'm constantly changing sizing stuff.
Oh yeah.
I find that like
I did a revision recently too.
yeah, I did. So did I.
I do want to bring up one more point about this overlay,
Uh-huh.
and I'm
Yeah.
going to keep saying it. I am such a big fan of themes, and so this entire channel is themed around lemons, and the hilt of the knife,
The lemon.
the butt of the knife
a
is a
lemon.
lemon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
I was
like
gonna say that too.
subtle. It's nice. It's his exact icon. He redrew it again. It's like one of those things that just looking at it first glance, you're like, ah, it's cool. But then when you start like realizing everything is lemons,
Yeah.
it's just a nice little like extra.
If first coming into the channel, you're just like, oh, what is that? And then the more you stick around, you'll be like, oh, there it is. Oh, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Right. Also, all of the dice are colored to be the favorite colors of somebody in the party,
Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
neat. I like that.
That's nice.
which
I like
is
that.
really cool.
That's like a
Which like
that's
is a
Easter
thing
egg.
that outside of the party you wouldn't know,
Right.
but it's very nice. I love it.
It's a nice little trivia. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can kind of see it in the lighting of everybody's
A little bit, a little
cameras.
Bit, yeah.
Which is funny
'Cause you
because
see
you
the-
would assume that I would be purple, but mine is definitely the orange one.
yeah. Yeah. But like you can see that Half-Eaten Pancake has theirs as the pink. And it's
Mhm.
it's the pink.
Easy's yellow. I don't know the girl's bottom right.
There's like the
Quen.
Gwen's red.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
then
it's
white.
I
you
can't
got, like, the
remember which
white
one is
or
which.
gray
But I do
and
know
the-
that purple is actually none of these. It's Purple Queen, who's one of the like people who they have never missed a D&D stream.
That's nice.
Oh, that's nice.
All
All right.
we love Purple Queen here.
We're gonna skip that one. This was just I don't like the fact that they have a border around a border, and that they took the time to crop out this bottom right corner, but then like didn't do anything else in this bottom right corner. So
Right.
it's like
I mean, I think that's all that there was to say. It's just
That's
I don't like
Yeah.
it.
The positive thing though is like I really like the burn-in that they have with the map and their camera. I think that's really cool. That's
Which I
definitely
think
takes a
would work-
lot of effort for the mask, and
I think
they
it
made
would
it
work really well as a just chatting screen to have that burn in. But
it
I
is-
think as
it
a
is
small
just
corner
chatting
in the
screen.
game, it's so busy.
this is a just
Yes.
sure.
No, it was not.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh,
No, that was him in
Oh,
the
you're
corner
right.
of his
'cause I
screen.
just took it. That's why it's so small.
Yup.
Mm,
So as a just chatting screen, I think again remove that extra second border you
Yeah.
don't need. But I think the burn in and stuff looks really good if it was like a just chat. It's just so busy for being
That makes
so
sense.
small.
it is very busy for being small. Yeah, you're right. Because I thought it was a just chatting screen, and that he just kind of was
I-
like, "Yeah, here it
Yeah,
goes."
I think that was just because I was there when we grabbed the screenshot of it.
And I didn't remember.
Mhm.
All right.
Shouldn't know.
That's all that one is.
So this is Baby in a Corner. We finally got to a
Baby in the corner.
I like this a
Yes.
lot.
It's simple.
It's simple. He has a naked pipe. I hate it. Or a naked mic. I hate
Yes.
it. But
That could be switched with a flip of the camera, and he switches the game monitor.
yeah.
But
it's-
the other
whatever.
thing I like about this is that he gets to be a little bigger
because he's-
because it's green screened out, that it's not overwhelmingly awful. Because
Mhm,
if you
mhm.
put a box around him and had it as his camera, that would be huge.
it would be like.
But because he's green screened,
Yeah.
it's like clean, it's nice, he's bigger, I can see him, but he's not like taking up the whole game.
We were also pulled this because of this box, which is just like his.
It's a little weird.
It's weird. It's kind of out of place.
He's also so what I can see here is that he made the stuff for the text and then he just made that in Streamlabs or in OBS. He made that in OBS because that's just the text layer, and then he put a box color fill layer behind that.
Yeah.
and didn't go into like into Photoshop. Which I mean, I get it. It's like, oh, I don't have to. But he
Right.
could have put a drop shadow or stroke around the text and it would have worked better
I
than putting that
also,
box behind there.
Miyagi makes a point, but I also think it wasn't necessary because it was in the title.
It wasn't
The title also
Yeah.
had those three things.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to do it that would look nicer. He could have done the same thing he did with his like new donation and new follower, because I think those are really well done. They're like a little
Mhm.
opaque. They're a little opaque. You can see through them. It's not like crazy ridiculous. If you would have had that for this like thing
Mhm.
on the bottom, I think it would have looked a little nicer. I think it was just done almost haphazardly or
I
like
would
really
argue
quickly,
he
and then he
should
just
do
never
it-
changed it.
I would argue that he should do it closer to the text that he has in the lower left. I'll make a new pack out of your suggestions.
Mhm.
That's
Ultimately
definitely
that.
something he added in. He should have did it like that.
Yeah.
If he wanted it like, but
Ultimately
he
like that,
could have
I
made it
think-
bigger.
I think either one of those would work. I think he needs to match it to something else that's on his stream.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think the baby in the corner works here
yes.
bigger because he's green screened.
And
that's
also because nothing important is happening
in that corner.
in the bottom left or the bottom right corner of this game.
Yeah.
He's not covering important information for the game.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of placing everything. And it's the right kind of game to do this in too. Like Lego Star Wars is pretty simple. The UI is all at the top and then the little left-hand corner. That's it.
Mhm.
The most that possibly he could be covering up is any cuts. There's no dialogue in the game either because it's Lego, so he's not even covering up subtitles.
Right.
So that's great.
All right. Let's see. Oh, I'm just rolled in. I'm not clicked to the thing. Oh, all right. Here we go. This is a
Okay.
baby in the corner, and I hate it so much.
This is an example of baby in the corner. This is
Mhm.
also an example of his camera is placed well because it's not going to be covered up when you're like scrolling through the
Yes.
Mhm.
feed, like
have-
the actual video channels that you have later.
However,
Why is his camera so big?
His camera
Yes.
is way
So-
huge.
I'm pretty sure that his camera is a 4:3 ratio
Yep.
or close to
I
it,
think so.
unless I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's 4:3.
The difference is it's ginormous and the background is so blank and boring.
Yeah.
Even if you want to show off your jersey, cool, great. Crop out some of the wall.
Yeah.
There's so much blank space and it's such a big camera. And between the camera and this green text in the bottom corner and the white text above it, also you cannot read the white text when he's not on this black screen.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah.
really read the green text when he's not on this black screen.
You can't even really read the green text when it is
I
on this
know.
black screen.
Yeah, especially right
So
now
it's just a-
here. Any
There's just a
contrasting
lot.
color is going to do some crazy shit.
It's just rough, but it takes up so much of the game content. When we were watching it, I was like, I can't even tell you what's going on
Right.
because I can see only the very middle of his screen.
So it looks to me like he did a baby in the corner when he wants to do either touching tips or a overlay. I
Yes.
would argue touching tips would probably be the best scenario for this overlay if he wants to do the join my Discord 500 bits whatever, but he needs to space that out and then he needs to change the text of what it is that he's what he's asking for and what it is that you need to do that you'll get for it, the reward versus the price.
So I also just noticed that his fonts are different, and now it's
Yes.
bothering me like a lot.
Yep.
Yes, the fonts are different, and one is in the every word is capitalized, and the other the whole thing is capitalized. Also, this one, and it's like entirely a me thing. This one that's in the green is really difficult to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Color
Because
text.
all of the letters, not even the color, the font itself is difficult to read because all of the letters are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all very blocky and very similar. Yeah.
So with
I'll give you that.
dyslexia, it makes it very difficult to read that.
Yeah. There are some fonts, there's a lot of fonts that are very difficult to read for dyslexic people, and it's really tough that realistically, the best text to use for dyslexic people is the one that is troped
So
to
much
be the
shit.
worst text to use in general,
It's so
and that's Comic
upsetting.
Sans.
Yeah.
It's Comic
It's so
Sans.
upsetting because I love Comic Sans because I can actually read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Comic Sans is just a joke.
It's just used
there are
poorly
other
in design all
fonts
the
that
time.
have been made specifically so it's easier for dyslexic people to read them.
Yeah.
Comic Sans
That
is
just-
just the most common, and it's also the one that got memed the hardest.
Yeah. I was actually watching sidetrack that tangent that I watched like a little documentary about Comic Sans, and that it was just so easy to use for people to make things look fun and exciting for their like local advertisements of things, that's why it got used so much, because it's a fun looking font that's pre-installed in every computer that people don't have to go searching for. And that's why it got so popular in the early days, because it was also the only one of its kind
Right.
that was so fun and whatever. But yeah, that's kind of the little brief
right.
history of that.
So, I guess if I'm gonna say something good, because we did mention that we were gonna try and say something that's good. I do like the border around his camera, and I do like his aspect ratio.
Good design. Yeah.
I think he needs to be bigger in the frame, and the camera itself needs to be smaller.
He also needs to light himself up more.
Yes, he needs to better.
He's
also
hiding in
very
the
dark.
shadows. Yeah.
And so
We
this
can't
is
see him.
something about this game in particular. If you don't know what this game is, this is Knockout City. And we saw it a lot in Knockout City, and I don't know why. Oh, I don't know why, because of the counter argument, and then Ryan kind of had a counter argument. We think people are trying to block their names.
Mm-hmm.
But
Here's the counter argument: they pop up on the bottom in about 4 seconds after the.
and then
start
here's
of
the
the
counter
game.
argument to that.
I think you can toggle that on and off.
Okay, but then are they
In
not
the
above
UI.
your head the whole time?
No, I think
Okay,
you can
so-
turn that off in the game.
But here's my thing: nobody that we saw, and like that's a great counter argument because I didn't know you
Yeah.
could do that.
I
But
think you
nobody
can.
that we saw that was covering the names of their team
was doing that.
Did
was
that.
covering
Yeah,
the
no.
ones
the
still set
counter
up
of
on
the
the
counter
bottom.
argument. Yeah.
So I was like, what is the point? It doesn't make sense.
Um,
I think it's just bad, like all around.
but regardless,
The problem is it's a new game nobody knows about yet, right? They're trying to
Right.
figure it out and they don't know yet.
the bigger problem
Right.
too is that it's just a bad idea. If you
Still,
really
you're
wanna,
just huge.
if you really want to black out your name, create like a quick action hotkey that puts up like a blurred image that every time the game ends you hit the little blurred image and it's gone.
Or switch
Or
your scene during
Put it to
the
like
queues.
a just chatting screen during the queues or something.
Uh,
like-
If you're really that concerned about it, do
I don't know. It was so funny because I was like,
Oh,
why
it's
is it so
hilarious.
big?
It's so big, and
Oh.
it's
It's also very strange for this game in particular because I don't think you can search for specific game
I don't-
lobbies.
Can.
you can't search
like,
for specific
the-
game lobbies, but it's to prevent friend requests and crew invites because people
I guess,
constantly
yeah.
send crew invites. I've gotten 3 crew invites in the 40 hours I've played. And it's like
That's
when
fair.
people like don't know. Like I'm not gonna join your random crew. I don't want to play with
Here's
you.
another.
beat
I don't know if
you.
this is in game, but I'm noticing this on the top left. There's like an FPS
Mhm.
overlay with the
Yes.
ping.
So you can
And the
put that on
packet
your
loss?
games. Almost
That's not
every
his choice.
game-
That's from the game, right? Like that's.
I think
in the
I
game?
think you can turn it on in game. The Sea of
Okay.
Thieves does the same thing. It's an option you can
Right.
turn on. I recently
Right.
have turned. I didn't used to run it because I used to think it was stupid and I hated it. I recently turned it on because servers have been so bad for Sea
Mm-hmm.
of Thieves that I was like, "What is wrong? Like, what is the issue? Is it on my end? Is it on the server's end? Who knows?" And I wouldn't have like it was fine. Everything
Right.
was great and dandy. And then I hit 11,000 ping today, and I was like, I understand now why my
that-
game is running like dog turds.
So then this is a fault of the game overlaying the FPS over the ping the way it does.
I don't know.
That's bad.
I don't know.
I
Because that FBF might be something he has built in. I don't think a game would do that.
If that's something that he has built in, he needs to move it
Or get rid of it.
from that specific
Right.
spot.
I don't know. I don't
It's
know if
bad.
that's him or not. I think that the ping and FPS stuff is really nice to have. And I think it's interesting to see when you're on stream because you'll every now and then you'll get a streamer who's like, "Oh, my ping was so high." And you're like, "Your ping was 60."
Yeah.
Like, you were fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
So then that's a problem on game devs. You need to, if you're gonna have these options there, you can't
60
overlay them like that. It doesn't
60
look good
ping-
and it makes it harder to read.
60 ping is not high when you're playing Sea of Thieves, though. And it's almost always Sea of Thieves. I say that because it's almost always Sea of Thieves people that I see who are always like, my ping is so high. And I'm like, I was playing with 300 ping yesterday. Yours is 60. Get over it. Get over it.
Jeez, 5 ping in CSGO.
Oh
Damn.
my gosh. Is he actually just a god? That's not fair.
That is not fair. Hey, here's our first. Is this our first overlay?
This is our first
Like
overlay.
one?
Yes.
Crossover, whatever we want to
Whatever
call
we're
it.
calling it.
Yes. Crossover, whichever one.
Disregard these black bars. This is
That's from
just-
Twitch, right?
That was
just-
just that's from me.
That's from Twitch.
Because
No, it's fine. It's from Twitch. Because Twitch does that.
yeah.
When you.
Well, yeah. So Twitch does that when you take away either the chat or the followers bar, and I never have my followed channels bar open because I hate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and examining it more, and I'm like, the theme is perfect and everything's
love
laid
the
out great.
theme
Actually, I don't
so
think there's really a
much.
problem here. To me,
Yeah, we pulled it for the theme.
The only thing that I think could be a little different is he could make the clipboard Sam slightly smaller and make his chat a little bigger or longer because it's kind of skinny, so you're getting
okay.
3 messages, 4 messages, or he could even just shift them down a little bit. But I actually don't hate any of this. I love a lot of it. Also, the theming is just so beautiful.
So great.
It's accurate
one
too.
thing I can say, and actually I think the buds is maybe his ping. Oh no, that's the number of viewers he has in his chat. I love that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
I
a-
really like that.
That's
Yeah,
buzz. Yeah.
he's
And I
not
love that
facing
he's
his game.
running these different programs, right? He has my computer open, he has
The
his
chat.
camera
The
open, he has the chat
chat.txt.
open, and it has because his camera is the thing that is in the forefront. It is currently selected on
Yep.
the thing. It's a different bar color.
And it's highlighted
The attention to detail is so good in this.
too. Chef's kiss.
The only thing I really can say bad about it is that he's not facing his game.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I thought
and
he
you
was
could,
looking
like-
down to read at chat in this. That's from the
no,
screenshot.
no,
That's
he
what
was
I got
he
from
was
that.
he was reading that you have to deliver this to Tad at Morrow's Peak.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Again, I only know that because I tuned in and
watched it.
actually watched the
Yeah,
stream
yeah.
to figure
Yeah.
out what was going on.
um,
But we were trying to find an example of like an overlaid or like a crossovered out overlay that we could figure it out. And I found this and I was like, but the theming is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, this is
I
great.
love
This is
it.
exactly how you would want to go about something like this. And yeah, I have no real gripes. I'm curious as to what the Microsoft SAM paperclip thing is there for.
And it might be alerts.
it might be alerts.
It might be
He didn't get any
alerts.
alerts. He didn't get any alerts while I was in there. That might be where those show up.
Yeah.
If not, it's just another thematic thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I was saying you could always make it smaller and move it somewhere else or something if you need to.
In terms of consistency, I'm not sure where like why that one then doesn't have a little tab on the bottom.
I don't know if Microsoft SAM used to.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't
I
know.
think Microsoft SAM used to just always be open, and he'd be like, "Do you need help?" And he'd be like, "No,
No,
Microsoft
go
SAM,
away."
I don't need your
Okay.
help."
But yeah, I don't know either. I don't know why it's there.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? I don't think it does because it's the only one that doesn't have a full screen or minimize window on it, button on its things.
Yep.
Which is also very good attention to detail. That
This is just done
Wow.
really well.
Yes.
props to whoever the streamer is. I don't know who they are, but great job.
Jess would be the only one who knows, or Horse, but
I do know.
I don't know.
I'll send you the
And
information
any
later
of
if
you are
want it.
watching that sees it.
I almost just want to go into their chat and be like, "I love your layout, peace."
Yeah.
I was going to, but I was so upset yesterday because my mouth started hurting. I was like, I don't even want to talk to anyone new. I'm just
Fair
gonna
enough.
leave.
All right.
Um,
Oh, here we go.
I just think it's very good.
This is
Let's zoom in a little bit.
this is a very
Okay,
rough
there
contrast
is-
and rough.
There is a lot that I don't like about this, but I want to start with what I do like. I
Yeah, I wanna
like
start
that
with
the
what I do, too.
colors. I like that the colors follow 60-30-10 rule. It's a 3-color rule. You have one color that is 30%, one that is, or you have one color that's 60%, one that is 30%, one that is 10%. So your
Mhm.
yellow is your 60, your purple is your 30, your red is your 10, I don't mind it. I don't hate that. Kind of like it. I like that the colors are like vibrant and like kind of neon glowy. I kind of feel like that's where my likes for it.
My
So-
other like is that I like how everything is pieced together. It's laid out in a way that's really
Okay.
easy to find everything, and it's gentle on
Yeah.
the eye, so I don't have to go like
Um,
searching for stuff. It's like, oh, it's puzzle piece. So, like, there's the chat right there. There's this camera right there. Oh, there's recent follower donation sub. Cool game right in the middle. It's very easy to see. It's not. I'm not playing a Where's Waldo on
Yes.
on the stream layout.
I also cannot
That's where it ends.
remember if his chat box stayed or faded.
Disappeared.
I did not stay long enough to find out.
Yeah.
Um,
How long do you know how long they had been streaming for at that point?
I think when
know it
I
sometimes
tuned in,
doesn't
they
matter,
had.
but
I think when I tuned in, they had one other viewer.
okay, then to
Uh,
me that says that they don't have a
But I also
fading.
don't think that they were streaming very long because they were just getting started on the
This-
first
this
part of their like
outpost.
voyages for Seeds.
Okay.
Also, I'm now realizing that the word chat room has a blue glow,
Yes.
and the top and bottom bar of the chat room are red, and I don't like that. Like, make it
Yeah.
just make them purple. Make it all
Yeah.
like the same. I also think that
Yeah, go ahead.
so they have this purple around the black for the letters, and I think it makes the letters really difficult to read for recent sub. It works fine with this recent followers. The yellow is fine, but the red is difficult to read with the black lettering.
Yeah.
Uh,
So my brain completely tuned out one thing on this layout that I've now recognized, but I think it's because it was just so jarring that my brain said that you're gonna ignore this for now. And it's the EGG on
it's not good. So that's
it's
part of
not
his
good.
name.
Yeah.
It's the abbreviation of his name.
I had a
It's
feeling.
not good. Also, I can't see him.
Yeah, I can't.
Like, I know that there's a face there. I can see that there's a face.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Also, it's an interesting aspect ratio that he went with, but
They're
okay.
not Mikyagi. That's. I hate it.
Chat room box.
So look at the tops and bottoms of the chat box, or the chat room box on the top doesn't line up
Doesn't line up with what?
with the game top. So the tops
Oh,
don't
yeah,
line up,
no, it doesn't.
and then the bottoms
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, those don't line up, and then the bottoms don't line up with the camera
Yeah.
and his following thing.
Oh,
And I
God.
think he can make it line up and look better, but it just isn't.
There's a lot to be fixed here.
There's a lot.
This thing needs a complete overhaul.
I will
LQ, what are
say-
your thoughts on
I
this?
will say, he does a really good job of utilizing his space.
Yes, I think
Yes.
his space utilization is great.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think
Especially
he does
with
something
his space
interesting with
background.
his. I think he does something interesting with his. That's a 4x3. He's turned it vertical, which is something that a
Yep.
lot of people don't realize you can kind of do and get away with. He's. You can see that he has a lot of headroom, even though you can't see him. So he does.
Maybe he has a really interesting background behind him, and we just can't see it because
This
his
to
lights
me
aren't on.
screams that, hey, I didn't clean up my room, but I want to stream, so I'm going to turn off all my lights
Turn off all
and
the
have the reflection of some white screen on my computer or bright screen on my computer light me up.
Which
Like,
I
he
would
doesn't
love
look like
to
he has
know.
lights right now.
I would love to know how he gets it to still look so dark, because if I have all the lights off in my room and I have any screen up, I look like I have seen a ghost or have become a ghost.
It's distance. His room is probably a decent size where it doesn't light up.
Oh,
the
you
light
mean he
doesn't reach
doesn't
far
sit
enough.
2 feet from his computer monitor?
You don't sit like this.
No, he does sit 2 feet from his computer monitor.
I
His
am
computer, his bedroom is probably large enough that it doesn't matter how much light he gets. Or he has a black screen behind him. I don't know.
Yeah. My main thoughts are there's a lot of things that can be fixed and need to be tweaked. But overall, it's not as bad as it like initially looks. There's just something that needs to be, like, just the colors need to be tweaked, and he needs to be tweaked, and he doesn't need the big ECG thing there. You can put it at the top.
Right.
Or
and make
if
it
you want the
better.
ECG thing, because I understand the argument
Or
for both
EGG.
of it, right? Like, I understand the argument for having your name somewhere on screen if you're going to have your clips put somewhere else or other content. I get it. Don't put it over the top of your camera. He has enough headroom. He has the ability to shift that.
Yeah.
And put it off of his camera.
So I think for me, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, because what little bit we can see of him, half of it is covered by that second G.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me here is that there's no real thought. Well, that's not true. The color selection, I don't think, is the greatest.
No.
In terms of complementary colors, like it doesn't fit anything on a color. Like
I think the yellow is what's throwing it off.
Yep. If the yellow was
it's the combination of everything,
right?
Like
Because
being
I
put
think
together where it is.
Any two of those colors would work together. Because yellow and purple are complementary colors. On a color wheel, yellow and purple are complementary colors.
The yellow and purple would work great. It's the red that's really throwing me off.
Purple and red can work together if you have a color that complements the both of them. And red and yellow can work together if you have a color that complements the both.
So,
but all three of them together do not work.
Right. So it's how he's using it too. Like you see how like there's like the bits of red or bits of yellow within each of the things. There's just something about it that just kind of, for lack of a better term, in my opinion, looks ugly. Like there's a lot of stuff that just kind of looks ugly here.
If
and
he were to have swapped the red and yellow on the bottom, I think that this would have worked. Because then it's going red, purple, yellow. See what I'm saying? So like if you swap these two.
Maybe.
I don't think it's even that for me.
I still think that having all three of those colors together don't work on the color wheel.
So he wants a tritone color. If he wants to use three colors, he needs a tritone color that they all work together. Yes. And there's a great way to find a good color palette for yourself. There's a website called Paleton. It's I have to look it up. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna drop it in our chats here, but I can in both Twitch and in YouTube. I'm gonna drop it, and it's super great because you can choose a color wheel. And you can choose from different color schemes of monochromatic, the adjacent colors, triads, tetrads, whatever. And it would
He needs a blue-green and not a red if he wanted to use yellow and purple to make it have the complementary colors.
Yeah.
Hey Ryan, is that the thing that our theater teacher showed you?
Yes. It's the same thing he showed me, and I've used this constantly when I'm selecting a color if I need to figure out complementary colors that work together. It's a little difficult like to use at first, but it does tell you good color blends together, and it kind of does it by default because it's following certain rules, quote unquote. And I think the problem here is that he's using the max saturation of each of these colors, and the max saturation of each of these colors just doesn't work right. It just doesn't. Like we got ketchup, mustard, and like purple goo.
Sorry, Ryan, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing at McYagi because he's talking about you and how you're very colored today.
Am I really? I'm not, because I
rich reds and blues look super nice.
Look, this is my Spider-Man colors, or my Superman colors.
That is the type of like. That's the type of thing that they would teach you when they're like teaching you how to talk a different language, but they've decided that you need to learn how to flirt. And it's like compliments that are just a little off. Like, did you use Peloton for your clothing today?
Yeah. That's bad.
I don't need to use your terms in service to approve you. All right, let's.
But yeah,
sorry, just, continue forward.
It hurts my eyes. The big thing here is this: my eyes hurt looking at this.
I mean, you mentioned something with the background. I do think the background could also play a problem.
Yes, I think the background is like a weird because it's almost like a reddish purple, so it makes it not. I think it makes the other colors a little wonky.
I think the background would be fine if the frames were different.
Yeah. This
ultimately,
there's just
there's a lot going on.
I just think because regardless of the game, because right, this like white screen is like the game, so that's not something that they can control.
Yeah.
Everything else around it, they have really used every inch of real estate,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they've used it well.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
There are things I like. I like that they've
Things lined up
stacked
nice.
Their things are lined up nice. I like that they stacked their Twitter, Instagram, YouTube because
Mhm,
I think two of those were the same.
Yeah.
Not all of them were.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the way that they're stacked and off in the corner, they fit really nicely in that corner. I love it. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to do some of this. I don't know what it is. I know there's got to be a way to do some of it better, but I can't help you.
There's something about the colors on the bottom. I think also this like bright white doesn't help us like evaluate it.
I think these black boxes behind the extra hours and end time make it feel like it was just smacked on there.
Right.
They do have some really great camera and I agree.
They do.
I do.
Yeah.
I really like this left sidebar.
And then
I love the left sidebar. It's the bottom bar that I have issue with.
So I think the biggest thing for me is that I feel like monthly goals is a weird thing to put onto the overlay of the stream. I think that's just something you should have in a rotation in your chat bot on a timer.
Yeah.
Or if you
rather
have
than having
bars,
it there.
because there are plenty of people who have like the chat, like the bars that are like, this is how full it is. But it's not like just a text thing that says it'll be updated later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, all right. So if that's what that is, because my immediate thought after seeing will be updated at end of stream, is that that's just a spot where he says this is what we're doing for the month on the stream.
Oh no,
this is what we're achieving. I don't think
that
that's
like,
a follow sub goal because we have that in the middle with the sub donation goals bar.
Right, but I think that is just specifically to get to today's and not the monthly part of it. And the reason I say that is because they're using that same cup. That would signify to me that they're related.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch them, so I can't. This is one of the few that I either didn't find or wasn't watching.
Yeah. So what I think in general, when you have these like
I see what they did over there too.
I personally like the text on top because it's like the text on the bottom, my eyes are more drawn to it, and I think that's because I'm sitting higher than my monitors, so my eyes naturally go down. So then my eyes want to go naturally more down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also just really. I think it's also just really busy, so your eye is naturally drawn. There is a big black box at the bottom of that screen that my eye immediately goes, "What is this?"
Yeah.
This.
That right there.
Yeah.
But I think if they had put this on top, they had like moved everything else down on the left, they could have had all of their like media stuff kind of like rotate out. Like I like the dynamic flow of things, right? So like content flows into like media stuff where this is like content and then like hard abrupt in media. So I consider this more media than like content, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it like kind of flirts the line with both. So like in my brain it's like this would look nicer if it flowed up and like kind of had like all the stuff up here.
Alternately, if it all flowed down. So if they flipped, which I think, which Miyagi has said, if they flipped their cameras and the chat box. Yeah. And then it would flow down.
That's what I thought you were saying.
No, I was saying take the bottom bar and put it up. Move the gameplay.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, but I think it follows the same argument that it's because it's not flowing down or up right now. Right. It's flowing to the middle and then like jarring funny.
Right. So I could argue that I think you could get away with having the chat where it is, but you need a divider between the media up top and the advertising stuff on the bottom.
Sure.
Like if there was a black bar or something going across the entire bottom, that bottom camera all the way across the screen that divided those two things, you section it off nicely. But there's just too much, I think, going on the bottom between the social media things, the monthly goals, the today's sub donation goals thing, the extra end hours time, and then on top of that, they have another like sub gifted thing like legend going on that gets
That's
updated
that's
continually.
like their alerts.
Yeah, it's like in favor of their alerts that there's just too much going on down on the bottom to have it really be cohesive there. Like, because realistically, you can chop that entire bottom part off and it's perfect. Like, everything else is fine. You don't need anything else.
I think really they could, if they wanted to leave all that stuff, they just need to find a way to simplify it and clean it up.
They do.
Because it is just
It's a lot.
a lot.
Extra hours
but-
and end time can be smaller and stacked.
Yeah.
Similarly to their social media posts there, because extra hours should be one line and end time should be one line.
So what they could
Also, I still just, the black box is really disruptive.
Don't do that. Just don't do that. It doesn't look good. Don't
No,
pick
I
a
can
color
understand,
box on
and I will.
OBS
Okay,
and just put it behind there.
I'm going to make a small caveat to that. When people are doing speed runs, and they have the timer that's the black box and the time, fine, because
That's part of the overlay.
it's that big. It's part of the overlay, and like that's what you're paying attention to.
Yeah, that's like an important.
When you jump into a speed run, you want to
Yeah.
immediately be like, "Where's the timer? How fast are they going?"
But when you have something like this, you don't want that color text on that background.
Right.
You want that should be white text with a white thing, or it should be black text with
Or
a
like
white outline.
this
something.
light blue of the words monthly goals, you can see
Yeah.
really well. They could just have that be there,
And it
like,
should be
doesn't
smaller.
Need to have
It
this...
should be smaller, just in general.
Yes.
It's one of those things, right? Like, and we've talked about this a bit. This feels like they put it up like 2 hours
Last second.
before, and this looks like they designed it. So it kind
Yeah,
of
that wasn't
plays into
designed.
that idea of like being chromatic, being themed. Right?
Yes.
Theoretically, they should have made these with the same
Mhm.
font and like actually made start end times and stack them on top. And maybe this was just something they were doing for like a charity.
And you can do that really easily. I know we don't have it in this lineup of overlays, but in my current like shiny hunting layout that I have, and even on
Yes.
my what is also my Let's Play layout, I have a counter that keeps updating. But I picked a font that thematically works, and I picked the colors that work, like a white and black stroke that work well thematically with what I have on my overlay already.
Here is the other thing, and I've talked about it before. As a viewer, it makes it look like you don't care enough about your stream to put effort into it.
Yep.
Because it's just this black box. Now, if it's something that you did because you're doing one stream and it is lasting for 2 hours, fine. You're not putting effort into it. But I think that if a stream is going to be 3 hours, and that's like not like a hard benchmark, right? If it's going to be something that you're going to continually use, or it's going to be something that's going to be up there for a long time, like
It needs to look good.
3 hours, put 5 minutes into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I think,
Put effort
although
into
it's
it,
not,
yeah.
it's not necessarily a turn off. However, it does give the impression that you're not caring, like you don't, not that you don't care, but that you didn't put any effort into that particular piece. So why should I care about that information?
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks like it's thrown on haphazardly.
All right.
And you make it so big, and then I'm just like, it's in my face, and
But then I
can't
have
not
to
look
pay
at it.
attention to it.
Yeah.
Let's move on before we talk to death about this. This was just to look at theming.
Ah,
and then
yes, here's
also
the
to
desk.
talk about the text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here we go.
Text fonts. Let's talk about those for like half a second.
Can't read it.
It's so bad.
I will let you know that
On
the
the
only
chat.
thing I watch this stream and the only thing I can read is Reed's show. Like I can read this on the desk because it's bigger, but
sure.
the
It's
chat
not great. Yeah, chat you can't read.
is not good.
I didn't even realize that this was a bit donation. Why I didn't block it out.
I didn't either. Yeah, until I read it and actually read it.
Um,
The
However, what I do love the neon sign still. I love that he has just
Yeah.
like, look, these are the social media you can find me at, because I think all of his information is in one of the title card things at the bottom of his stream.
Sure.
And I think it rotates in his chat.
Yep.
But it's like, hey, if you're looking for me on Instagram, I have an Instagram. Go find it. Like it's not.
yeah.
But regardless, this was just to look at like if you're gonna do fancy fonts for your chat, make sure that they're legible, because this is really hard to read. So then, what's the point of having it there if I can't read it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
and this is just a me thing, and it really bothers me. The perspective on the chat box is not the same as the perspective of the fan feed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
just it messes with my head
Yeah.
so much, and it's the only thing I'm paying attention to right now.
I think
because it's
the other
not
thing
right.
too is that in this point he's talking to chat. This is kind of like his just chatting screen.
And he's not
it's
facing
not
the chat.
it's not all of them, it's some of them, but like he's not facing the chat. And
More
I would
plugins.
like to point out that it's not
Yes,
because he
Miyagi.
can't do it, because he does it later.
Yeah.
All right. I want to try and keep moving on.
That's all.
Yes,
'cause
I
wanna
love
I
this,
love
by
this.
the way. This is great.
This is beautiful.
I love
This doesn't even fit into any of our categories, kind of. It kind
It
of is
doesn't.
touching tips.
It's-
But
I
like-
think that this is one of the ones that was just so weird and unique because I haven't seen anybody do something like this. But I think it works really well in a game that you want to have multiple perspectives of people that you can when you're on a boat. Because how many times have I been watching our friends play and I'm like, man, I wish I knew what was happening on their camera because I bet it's
Yeah.
a wild time.
Um,
And I understand that is a difficult thing to do, like
Mhm.
logically, but I love the way they've done this.
yes. It's also a difficult thing to do when the person's not in the same room as you, and these people are in the same room.
Yes.
Mhm.
They are sitting next to each other, and you can tell it because these like pokeballs that are on the wall
Balls.
behind them are the same. So they're very much
Yeah.
sitting next to each other.
But we just wanted to gush over this layout for a minute and just talk about like how
Can-
well it is done.
Can
I
I
think-
ask if they have their names over the respective
Yeah.
gameplay?
Yes.
So
So
this
the
is-
blue and blue are the people. So this is the same. So what I
Okay.
think should happen is their perspectives really do need to be flipped because then she
Yeah.
would be looking at her screen and he would be looking at his, and they would be looking at the gameplay that was corresponding.
That's why I was
But-
asking. Yeah.
But I really love this.
I agree.
You know,
And I love how they're playing the pirate game, right? They're playing Sea of Thieves. However, a lot of their channel is Pokemon themed.
Mhm.
So like all of their stuff is in Pokeballs. They have like their subscribers are like the Pokemon Collected, or maybe that's their followers. I don't know which one. But this also was a charity stream, which is why they're in costume.
so I know why that he is on the left and she is on the right, because when you look at them, because they designed it while they're looking at it from the perspective of the stream, and he sits on the left, she sits on the from like
That makes sense.
you turn around, it's like they sit on the side that they're currently on in real life, but then when you
Yep.
put them
Okay.
into the thing, it flips them.
That makes sense.
Is that that's a weird concept, I know, right? Because the cameras are angled, but he is sitting on the left in this setup, and she is sitting on the right in this setup. So they just put them left and right. But
Yeah, and then in which case you would just need to switch like the position of where the game and the camera is. Then
they just need to swap their cameras. That's it.
Yeah, they just need to move their perspectives. Just flip who I have.
yeah,
Well,
And
if you wanted to
I
have them looking at their
understand-
game, yeah.
Right. And I understand that they are large, right? Because we've talked a lot about that as well.
yes.
They are large. However, if you change the size of their camera, it would mess with the game because you would cut more of the corner off. And at that point, you are losing a lot on this top game.
Yeah.
Not as much on the bottom game.
Not as much on the bottom game, but on the top
Yeah,
game,
the-
you would be losing a lot.
And
Because
there's
it
a lot
already
already
cuts off
lost.
like the bucket.
Yeah.
I don't think they've lost enough currently for it to be like, oh man, I'm missing so much stuff.
It's about a small box that I wish I could like. Can I draw in this? No, I can't. You're missing about a box that's about, yay big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's honestly it's not that bad.
It's not
not terrible.
bad, and I
if you
think it only works
change-
for this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it only works for this game. I think it works really well for this game. I think it works really well for the fact that I want to see both of their perspectives.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if they have different layouts that they've like worked on for showing both of them for different games.
Yeah, because I would argue that this wouldn't work out for something like, if they were doing Pokemon necessarily. Or something where you need to see more stuff with like health and things that are like in a different spot, or UI that's in a different spot, stuff that's a little bit more UI heavy. So this game isn't very UI heavy. Sea of Thieves is not very UI heavy, and neither is like most FPS games. So I think that's why it works out well. This layout works out really well for this particular game.
I'm trying to see what Mikyagi is trying to say about the.
So if you look, this black bar across the top that has the donation stuff, because it was a charity stream, that is actually overlaid onto their game. So that game section is a lot smaller. However, because it's Sea of Thieves, there's not a lot of information that happens at the very top bar. And there's not a lot that happens in this bottom left or this bottom right corner.
If that wasn't there, though, it'd be equal, right? So, like, that's the kind of concept we need to think about. This is technically equal space.
Kind of. It would I don't think that split is dead center. That diagonal split, I don't think it's dead center.
Well, you might be right. I don't know. It's hard.
I think it's a little bit to the left.
We could always do a deep dive and like really analyze.
Yeah, if we were to add
I'm not sure. I just know that when I was looking for examples and stuff for it, I saw this and it was just so fun because it's so unique. I have seen this game played where it's a split screen like vertically, and you lose a lot of information.
Oh yeah. You'd have to do top and bottom if you're going to do split screen like that.
I don't know if we pulled that one guy in the tries.
No, we didn't. But I think his was also really good for what it was. I just really like this, and I like because the background looks like spray painted and like fun and like kind of whatever. But it's not. It was a static, so it wasn't like distracting. And I think this like bright green color, like this greenish, whatever color, works really really nice as a good designation, especially since that is a color that's used in the game. And I don't know if that was intentional. But
I would love to see this animated really though, and that's the thing about a good static. I mean, I guess I would like to see this animated because I could see the highlights, like the green highlight, like circling a little, like every so often, and you have that grunge background kind of throughout as like the default. And so you would see them like kind of
I
every
also
like
feel
10 seconds.
I also feel like sometimes animated backgrounds get distracting.
Yeah. So sorry, I want to answer Mikyagi's question because I think I know how they do this. They have 3 computers. They have one streaming computer and 2 separate computers, and they're computers into 2 separate graphics cards. So that's how they're getting audio from both people. Those mics are probably either straight plugged into the streaming computer or passed in whatever platform they're using.
They're definitely plugged into the mics can probably be plugged into the same computer. I think they are plugged into the same computer, and they're just on because you can select multiple audio sources in OBS, and they probably just have multiple input audio settings in there, and that's probably why they're getting audio the way they need it.
What's really good for them is they also both have the same mic, so they basically can set them at the same settings and be fine.
Yep. Yeah.
But anyway, that's the technical side, I think, of what Mikyagi is asking about.
Yeah.
Split game look cool. Brain goes.
All right, let's.
Colors are really nice. Everything's good. Everything's paired off really nice. I love this. This is great. 10 out of 10.
This was something cool we wanted.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this overlay. That should be a touching tip.
But it's like not.
But it's like a hybrid.
It's like a mix of touching tip and the overlapping.
Overlap.
Also, I want to point out that their chat box disappears.
Yeah, we hated it too.
The other thing that's really weird is that the chat box is made, but it only starts about a quarter of the way up.
And it's huge for the fact that it disappears.
I agree with Miguel. I do like the pink color.
The pink color is very nice.
I think it's nice.
The colors are very, very nice.
I think the coloration looks really nice. I like that it's all this, and it's a basic thing, but I like that they're all like these slanted, like rhombusy bits.
Yeah.
They would probably benefit from having either a smaller camera ratio or cropping their their camera down. We're zooming in.
Yeah, I could see a 4x3 working really great here.
Yes, I do like that their background is simple and clean, and I do like that there's the pink color. I think that in their camera, they don't have to completely get rid of their background. But there's just a lot of space that's.
I don't need to see their dresser in their camera shot because I know it's in their room, but like I don't need to see the camera in their dresser. Just give it a 4x3 and you cut that out.
However, I want to point out that we can see their dog, which is pretty sick. So.
Oh
Is that
yeah,
their dog?
and
that's their.
I thought it was a rug, but it's
no, it's a dog.
Oh, you're right. That's a dog. So what they could
Or is it a
do,
cat?
Right? So
It might be a cat. We can see their pet, and that's pretty sick.
Yeah, we see the animal.
What they could do to like kind of simplify this, right, is if they took the game instead of having it floating off of the edge, put it onto the edge but still have the board.
Mm-hmm.
They free up some real estate on both sides, and then if they make their camera 4x3, they could shrink down their chat size a little bit left and right, and then all of that could be a touching tip and kind of work for their aesthetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got some stuff on the
And
bottom,
then
and that's a really generic looking way of doing it, and that's great.
And then they can also make their chat not disappear.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a couple of bits of dead space that just like really should be utilized well. The bottom left-hand corner of this needs work. And I think a good rule here that you could probably follow is if you're going to have dead space like this, don't leave it as like a pure solid black.
I don't think it is black. I think it's a maroon. I think it's a fade from a pink to a maroon. And I think their background was animated.
Yeah, their background might have been it.
Okay, because if the background's animated and those highlights circle around a bit, and you can
I don't
see
think
it
it's
like
a
going to those
highlight.
corners.
I think it's like a nebula, like space stuff.
I'm trying to.
Regardless,
see,
those colors like on the blue and pink, like if those or the blue and purple or red, whatever that colors those are, if those are floating around, that's fine. But if that's just a static image. Leaving it at this really dark, it basically is black because the black color that LQ used to erase the name blends in near perfect.
Yeah, it's this one down here. Actually, I think it is perfect. It's pretty damn close. I mean,
I can't see the seam at all.
I can see the seam very well, but like,
I can see it very faintly. It's right there. It's right here. I can see it really well. But it's but from here,
that's my monitor.
From right here, I can't.
I think it's your monitor.
Yeah, the darks are really dark on my monitor.
I do think it was an animated background from what I remember. But if it is a static background, then something.
Yeah, you don't want to have it that dark as a static. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let me just throw this because it's a weird. Yeah. Anyway. All right. We want to talk a little bit about what your stream looks like when you're scrolling through.
This is important, actually.
This is like weirdly important. And things that you might be able to like take away from like the split second look, right? Because this is like a split second look. Like if I was doing this theoretically, what I should have done, like, hey, which one of these stands out the most to you?
Coming from a viewer, I would click on only 2 of those streams, and they all have exactly the same number of views. They're all playing exactly the same game. I would click on 2 of those streams, and I would not click on the other 2.
Yeah. I'd click on 2, maybe 3. I know which one. 2 I definitely am picking though.
All right, hold on. We're gonna do this systematically. Jess, don't hit enter yet. In the chat, type either 1, 2, 3, or 4. Go through that again. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Ryan, you do the same, and I will count you both down. Do it in the Twitch
1,
chat.
2, 3, 4. Right?
Wait, I'm sorry. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Yep.
And then I want to see if that all lines up with everybody else's, and I'm going to do it as well. So
the ones that we would click on, right?
The ones we would click on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to see if that lines up and how interesting that might be. So if everybody typed it in.
Yep. I'm in.
And if anyone in the chat wants to play, type it in. We'll give you guys an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, feel free.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter.
We all have picked essentially all the same one.
Yep. All the same one.
So So the consensus here is that definitely one.
Ryan would pick it because of the weeb. Got it. Great.
Yeah, we got the anime girl there. It's like, why not? It's cute too. Like,
I refuse to click on 3 because I can't see their face.
Nope. Can't see their face.
that would be the reason why I don't. I said 3 as a maybe.
Yeah.
Because 1 and 4 are definite.
But that's something I want to talk about. Why is 1 and 4 a definite click on, and 3 and 2 and 3 not?
Because I think for 1 and 4, their faces are clear. There is a clean outline. There is a clean box. It is somewhat thematic. Like this guy in the 4 is thematic, pretty like it. It's clean. It's visible. I'm able to see enough of the game screen before I click in. And they're both looking. And granted, at this particular screenshot moment, number 4 is kind of looking away from the camera, but he's looking at his phone.
Yeah, but you can tell that his setup is so that he's looking at the
angled at the camera, at the game.
Yeah. Well,
but
you can tell that a lot with me when I'm looking here compared. It's the
right.
Same idea.
I mean, it's the same idea. If I look over here for something, I'm looking off. I'm looking at the screen, but I'm looking off. But 2 and 3, I wouldn't click on because 2 is looking away from their camera, or like from the game.
Mm-hmm.
It also has nothing else going on.
It has nothing else going on. There's nothing. And 3, I can't see their face. There's a lot going on. It's really busy, and it doesn't match the gameplay.
Yep.
And I think their game is smaller, so I'm not going to be focused on their game. And if I'm clicking into this, I'm going to. I am fully aware that if there's somebody that I'm following, I'm watching it for them and not the game. But when I first click into something, I want to see the game first.
Yeah.
Until I've established that relationship.
There are 2 things I'm looking for when I click into a stream, and this will be for a lot of people. There's a lot of people too. I either want to see who is streaming, or I want to see the game. So one of those things has to be bigger, preferably the game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna have it so that the game is smaller, you need to be bigger. And
I want to be able to see you. I can't see
you need to be sizable.
number 3 because they're completely covered by this 3 viewers.
Yeah.
And
it may sound shallow, but there are, like, if I click into it, it's because I'm curious about what you look like more than anything. Because there are people out there that will do that they'll be like, oh, I'm curious, because they're hiding. I want to see what they look like, but then they'll immediately leave the stream if it's not like enjoyable content.
If you want to hide, I don't want to watch you.
Yeah.
This person doesn't even have like a camera frame or anything, right? So if you were to like look at this person, it just looks like they're being lazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we didn't even put a camera frame. That's like a super simple thing. Like, that's basically my entire layout. Maybe I should change that and make some changes. We'll see. This person, it's that, like, that's a really good layout. I don't necessarily always like this, but I think it's thin enough that this works for this.
Yes. I also think that I would click into 1 because there's some form of interest there other than just, and the same thing with 4. There's interest there other than just their face and their camera. He's got fun lights that like are different colors, and it's something interesting. And this one, the background looks interesting, and there's like very obviously a theme going on. It's like blue and I don't know, looks like cherry blossoms.
Yeah, it's like a blue and pink, light blue, light pink.
But it's a very like nice, welcoming, and they look really well done, or at least from like 4 feet out. Maybe if we got in there, we wouldn't like them as much, and there'd be things that I want to change.
Right.
But it sits, I think they look really nice, and I would click into 1 and 4 more than I ever would 3, 2.
I think personally, my top one is definitely 1, especially because I just really like the way their camera looks.
I like simpler.
So
I would agree with you there.
It's very simple, and I can see them, and their background isn't like a lot. Yeah. Right? There's not a lot going on.
I would click into them in the order of 1 and then 4.
1 and 4, yeah.
1, 4. I would click into 3 before I would click into 2.
I would definitely click into 3 before I click into 2, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think I could ever see myself clicking into them when I wasn't looking for examples of backgrounds I didn't love.
Yeah.
Correct.
If 3 and 2 were the only ones that were up there, I probably would first click into 3 than I would probably do 2.
Yeah, because at least there's something else there.
But yeah, so the main things we want to talk about here were just like, don't cover your faces. Make sure you understand that like your face gets covered by the viewer count and the live count, and it's on the left. So if you're going to put it on the left, make it raised. Otherwise, put it on the right like this person. Put some effort into your overlay, unlike this person. Because you don't have any effort, you just don't want to go there. And if you're gonna have like this big like thing, make sure it kind of matches the game you're playing. Like, even if this border was more pink, it'd probably be like, just make it match. Make it like, that little image is really important on Twitch, and it's not something that happens a lot, because it's not something that will really come up, because Twitch has really terrible discoverability, but it's important. Yes. It's important enough for there to be a topic about it. It's important enough for bigger people to talk about it too, because we're not the only one. This is okay, here. This is here because it was a horse.
I don't like the yellow text. And I found the reason I don't like the yellow text is because of the font and the color. It's not just the color. Because I think yellow can be used on a black background and be fine. However, I don't like this text. I cannot read it. And on top of that, this yellow where it's the follow, which is like their most recent follow, I can't read it.
Yeah, that's really thin.
Those texts down there are definitely too thin. I personally don't have a problem with the chat text at all. And in fact, it actually almost makes it easier for me. And it might be, and that's hard to tell. Like, the difference between the two of us. It's also hard
to tell when it's just a static image. It might be different when it's moving, because it's
different when it's moving.
Yellow going up.
If it's a lot going up, then I don't need a lot of blurry yellow going up.
Yeah.
But if it's a slower paced text, then I don't mind it being yellow.
From being in that stream, it is not slow. It is hard to read.
I do like the fact that this chat has a dedicated box and does not go.
It doesn't disappear.
Yes. And
I like this example of, like, it's not touching tips.
No, it's
close. It's but it's his camera aspect ratio that makes it work. And I do like this. If you don't watch the stream, this feels like a lot of dead space where it says the dojo, but that's like what his stream and like the people in it are called. Like, that's what it is. The whole thing is dojo themed. It works really well. I like it.
It is a lot of dead space, but he put something.
I just want to be able to read it.
It's not that it's just dead space. It's dead space, and he's put something there because he understands that if he just left it as black, it'd be bad. So he put the name of the space there. He got that idea.
Yes.
He understood. So it's really all of that content is really important.
This is an idea. This is actually like a perfect example of a low effort, high quality.
Yes, overlap. And then you can see it behind the chat a little bit, because I think he uses this as well for other things, like his VR back screen or whatever, and just takes everything off of it, because there is an image behind it that is the logo for his channel.
Right. Yeah.
In the grayscale.
But it's really well hidden, and it's very subtle, which is great.
It's very subtle, and it looks very nice. And I do like it. And I just have a really difficult time reading the yellow. And I physically cannot read these follow names well at all.
These down here, if I could say anything, they just don't need to be penciled in.
It's the type font. Okay, it's the font, and I understand that, but it is very difficult for me to read.
It's difficult for me to read too. It's just, it'd be nice if it was thicker. All right, I think. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Hey!
I pulled the Mikyagi. I didn't know if it was gonna work. I did it in the middle of one of our.
This is adorable.
Perfect.
First of all,
hold on. I have so many good things to say about this. I would love to start with. I love how everything fits onto the screens and the boxes and stuff behind it. I love that the Stream Raiders is on the TV behind it.
Great.
The perspective is great. The Stream Raiders in the corner is tilted to match the TV. These little trinkets and things. This little Miyagi face popping out in the corner. I love everything about this.
Also, the colors are really nice and gentle on the eyes too. Like the background, the painting of the wallpaper or the paint color on the wall looks great. The molding on the ceiling, there's whites in here, but they don't hurt my eyes.
Well, so
also, there isn't a naked mic.
And there isn't a naked mic.
But this is also an image, right? He is green screen. He's not in a space. So he's done lighting design on his background.
Yes.
which is cool, like amazing. I do like the fact that the stream radius is behind him when he's on his just chatting screen. He also has the logo up there because that's something he likes to do. And then there's I don't know what.
Now, I do have a question. Are all of these little plaques, because I can like kind of read them, but that one, yeah, all of these plaques are people, right?
Yeah.
Freaking love it. I love it so
Yeah.
much. I figured, but they're like a little bit blurry, or like it's maybe that's not
Yeah, they're
blurry, and maybe it's
different.
just the way my perspective is.
It could
I
also
think
be
they're different
just-
stream labels. I think they're different stream labels.
I
it's community
love
members.
all of this.
It's
Yeah.
community members.
Oh, it's community members? Okay.
Here's the
I
thing.
do love the attention to detail in the font type that's on there, because that would be the
yes.
font that is on those plaques. It is a little difficult to read, but I don't think you're really there to read that font.
No.
That's the font on the top left that you're trying to read.
I love this. I love that. I love.
The
love.
hidden Miyagi,
Yes.
the little accoutrements that are on the shelves.
The bagels and donuts thing is such a good channel reference for him though too, and he's been playing Metal Gear Solid, so like that's a really good channel
So,
reference with Solid Snake in the
here's the
box
other
too.
thing.
So I think
I understand that Miyagi is in the chat, but we have talked about this layout when
Oh.
Miyagi wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the way this looks so much.
So I think, and Miyagi, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is your plan to add things onto the shelves as you finish the games? Because I'm fairly positive you finished Fallout and you've whatever this is from. I'm fairly positive.
I think Subnautica, right?
Looks like some nauseous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all from the games we've played.
That's
See?
so
Such
the
clever.
amount of
Such
the
a
amount
cool-
of detail that went into this, right? Like this is something that looks really simplistic. And then when you start watching it or like looking at it and actually watching the content that comes out of a Miyagi stream, you notice that there is a lot of little detail that is very like channel specific that still looks really nice, even if you haven't been a part of the channel for very long.
It shows a lot of love for.
Yeah, that's the
You
biggest
can
thing you
tell
get from
that
this.
a lot of effort went into this.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think it pays off really well because I would click into this stream and go, I don't want to leave.
Yeah,
I
it
like
feels home. It
this.
feels like home a little bit.
It feels like home, but it's so well done that it actually feels like that the person who's in it, regardless of the fact that it's Miyagi, but the fact that like the person who did this actually cared enough to go through it, all the shadowing, like the shadows,
Yeah.
like little details
those things
fit
are great.
so well.
Mhm.
If I was gonna critique anything,
Yeah,
and it,
I have mine. Yeah,
it's not real because it's hard to do, but your green screen
Yeah.
is fucked up. And
hey, that was what I was going with too.
but like,
And it's a lighting thing and a difficulty
Well, and I
with
think
green
so
I
screen
think
thing.
the underside of your cap is almost a greenish color. It's like a blue green.
It's a blue green.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
It's
green
a
screen is
teal.
hard, and it's an amazement that anyone on any platform can.
Yeah.
But I think it looks
to
It just-
complement it though, like if you look at the edges of his
Ugh.
shirt, like on the left where the like white light is, there's no fuzziness there.
No.
Like the contrast is really nice. He's gone in above and beyond to figure out, and his chair. I think this is actual chair.
Yeah.
So that to have no fuzziness
Realistically-
on a mesh chair like that, at least that's what it looks like, is really difficult to do. Oh no, that's a fabric. I thought it was like there was like
But
realistically the only
I'm-
thing on his green screen that's messed up is the hat, and it's because it's this green blue color.
yeah, it's because
I'm
it's a
wondering,
green blue color.
and because we have him here, is that your actual chair? I think it is because I think you get up sometimes and lie in there, which Brian is a great invention.
For a chair stream.
For a chair stream, but that's a topic for another time. All right, I've got one more. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's still Miyagi.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still love this
I get
because
that.
it has the goals and stuff in the corner, but it's not like obnoxiously large. It's not covering anything that's going to be super important for the game. It's not
I took a bad screenshot, but it was a quick one. He is green.
Yeah, I don't know what he's playing, so I can't really critique like where it would be like in terms of the game, aside from this screenshot, which has a black screen behind everything.
Sorry, I took a bad screenshot. But he's facing into the game. He's green screen.
Yeah.
So it can be bigger. This is
Yes.
really what I wanted to talk about because this is unique to him and also a cool idea.
It's so cute.
And it's tiny enough, and like I think all of this stuff behind it is PNG, so it's all like you can see through here
Yep.
still.
Mhm. I think the other thing that I really like about it is that it has the Twitch and the YouTube. So I know that if I go to Twitch and I search
I didn't even notice
Mick
that.
Yagi,
I didn't.
that I'm going to find it. If I go to YouTube and I search Mick Yagi, I'm going to find the content that I want. And it's like, it's subtle. It looks like it's wood burned into the plaques. It looks
Mhm.
really nice.
The other thing I really like about it is that there's like a sense of realism to it with the chains so it's being suspended from something rather than just floating in space. Where you'll see a lot of streamers just kind of put it there for the sake of it floating in space.
Also,
And
I can
that's
read
really
the
cool.
font.
Yeah.
I can read that font clearly, which is a
Yeah.
really big thing for me.
Yes, it's a very big thing. But it also it incorporates the Stream Raiders thing, which is something that Mick Yagi really enjoys doing.
Mhm.
Any streamer who really enjoys doing it, and they've incorporated it really well. Because like some streamers will incorporate it poorly, like taking an element that is common in multiple streams, incorporating it poorly is a huge thing. Happens all the time, and it's like sometimes it's just like, but like what? Why? I don't understand. And sometimes it's done really well. I really do like the way that he's incorporated it. He's got the timer on screen, so he also like, maybe the streamer like spaces out on doing it, or like they don't have a set time when they're gonna do it, and they were like, oh well, let's do it at the next breakpoint. Chat can be like, yo, the timer's up, let's do this thing. If like chat is there and invested.
Yeah.
So it's like it works really well. I like the follower goal. I think it's a really clever way to put it on screen.
And it's different than everybody else who has the bar.
Because the bar was standardized by Stream Elements or Streamlabs, and then Stream Elements
and a lot of popular streamers too at the time.
And then, like now it's just like gross.
Now it's everywhere.
But I think it just overall looks really nicely. And even if there is something that's like super important or like that is there in that corner, I feel like it's still visible enough, or I don't know, maybe it moves. I think overall that it just is very well done.
Yeah. And we're definitely not saying this because Mick Yagi's in the chat. Like 100% we're not saying this because Mick Yagi's here. We're saying this because it's genuine.
Yeah.
It's almost like we didn't have to come up with any of this on the spot because we've talked about it a whole lot before, specifically about Mick Yagi's streams and the way they look.
Yeah. Mick Yagi has a very good aesthetic and is probably one of the best like
streamers
shadow streamers basically is what I'm gonna call it, because they're should be more popular than they actually are.
Mick Yagi's great.
Yeah,
very much.
Talk about how much we love him all the time.
I'm new to the Mick Yagi love, but I also love watching Mick Yagi streams, and it's been a great time for me.
Good. Be blushing.
Oh, you should be ecstatic and blushing. And we need to talk and hang out again soon.
Yes, please.
You know what the biggest problem is? We don't know the time zone differences, so we can't figure out when to actually call you when.
That's the real problem. Yeah.
Yeah. that's it. But that is everything. If I hold down, we get to see a quick little blurb of all of them. I'll do it like.
We talked about a lot.
We talked about.
And I actually go back to there is something I want to negatively critique about my the stream screens. These they're not engaging for somebody like for a starting soon screen and for like a break screen. The biggest these are well animated, beautiful. From my perspective,
I do love
splash
them.
screens. They're great. However, if your goal in the stream is to pull in viewers, these are not the things to put into your stream. And it's something I'm also working on too in the back a little bit. You want to have something that'll show off your stream while you are not actively live. Because yeah, it's like it depends on your vibe you want to go for too. If you want to go for a chill vibe, then you've got something here that's like really laid back. You know, it's like a cool little splash screen of your stream starting, whatever. If you want to have something that's a little bit more engaging, that's like, oh, I get to see my streamer pre-stream or during break. This is also cool. And I think that would be pretty cool because I think Easy Beasy has stuff like that.
I was going to say I am a tiny bit biased, but I love Easy's starting screen and his BI back screen because they're kind of the same thing, but it's his lemon holding a newspaper, and on the front of the newspaper it has clips and like there's a chat box, and like it shows you a little bit of what's going on before you get there. Or before he gets there, or when he's taking a break or whatever. And I think it's a lot of fun.
My starting screen has a preview of the game. Something I really having.
Just buy it.
I saw one recently for someone who shiny hunts.
I said I'm just biased.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I saw someone stream recently who I rated into and started following, and I really enjoy their content. She's a shiny hunter. And what she does for Pokemon shiny hunting, her starting screen is of like an in-game mechanic called Pokemon Camp, and it's all of her a party of her shiny Pokemon that she has and she's collected, and they're just running around on a starting soon screen, I think with a countdown, and that's it. And it's cute and it looks really nice, and you can see the accomplishments of the trainer or of the streamer before the stream has even started. And I think that's pretty neat. But yeah, I would say that if you're gonna do these scenes like this, for your beginning stream and your break screen, I would argue you should possibly have something that swaps in clips of what you're doing, that brings them in, and it can be a longer video loop of like 2 minutes potentially.
Yeah.
Where it's this for like 10 seconds, and then it swaps to it animates in, and you have a clip that starts playing of your stream of something that was happened, and another clip and another clip and another clip, and then it switches back to this, and then it switches back to another sequence of clips and back again.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm working on personally.
Pretty well. I'm very yawny. I had a cup of coffee before we started. It's not helping.
Yeah.
But that should be everything. Anything else anybody wants to go back and talk a little bit more about?
Covered a lot. I got my pieces out there. Oh,
I think I got all mine out too.
I have one overarching statement about filling blank space on streams. Don't fill it with non-clickable links. I can't click it on your stream. I don't want to see it.
Oh yeah.
Don't fill space for the sake of filling space either.
Exactly.
Make it have some level of purpose and
I
make it look nice and
needlessly
appealing.
put there.
When you're making your overlays, take a step back for a second. Be like, would I watch this? Is this appealing? Do things make sense? Like, do they feel good?
Things need to have.
I also think that animated backgrounds are great and lovely and nice, but they aren't always necessary. Sometimes it makes things too busy. I love the idea of the KISS method. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just when things get too busy, it gets really difficult to watch. And I'm not paying attention to you. I'm not paying attention to the game.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
If you're going to have an
animations,
animated background,
great.
Yeah. Keep it slow. And keep it... And try your best. Try your absolute damn best. It's not very hard to seamlessly loop it. Because if at any point it hiccups and there's like a dip in the frame where it doesn't
that's all
loop
I'm paying
seamlessly.
Attention to.
That's all I'll be paying attention to. It can be a 10-second. It could be a 2-minute loop. It could be a 10-second loop. I'll know when that shows up, and I will pay attention to it for the rest of the stream. If it doesn't seamlessly loop.
I personally don't like animated backgrounds with content, so like gameplay or whatever you're doing on stream.
Hmm.
I feel like they're more okay with like facing the viewers or like talking to your just chatting screens. But yes, slower. Make sure that they loop.
Also, simplicity does not equal boring. You can do simplicity
Yep.
and have it be absolutely gorgeous and engaging and lovely and not be boring. But you can also have like super over ecstatic and it's just too much to handle.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And also remember, because we said it at the beginning and I'll say it again at the end, overlays are art and art is subjective. So if there is something you disagree with us on, and that's your right.
To be fair,
You can
all of
disagree.
us don't even agree on things.
No,
so
we don't.
No, we don't.
It would be a really boring podcast if we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now give me 1 second while I swap everything back over so that
The only thing we fully agreed on was that we love McYagi in this.
Yeah. Yep. That is the one universal truth. Everybody loves McYagi. Rightfully so.
weird. It's not
Here's the
playing the
thing.
sound effect for this. I have to figure out why it's doing that later. But anyway, we're back here. We're on our little screen, talking about Simplicity's things. Our background is really simple and it's lovely, and I like it a lot.
Mhm.
And how do we
Again, it's all thematic and I love it.
Mhm.
How do we want to decide who does the recap?
I'm pretty sure you were supposed to do the recap, weren't you?
I was last.
No, he did it for the last one.
All right. All right. I'm gonna think of a number.
I've done it twice. I've only
also
been a
done.
guest
I think I've done
twice.
it 3 times.
I have been a guest twice, and I've done it twice.
I'm gonna write down a number on this piece of paper. The closest without going over. It's gonna be a number between 1 and 100. The closest without going over gets to choose. But
Okay.
they have to like choose if they want to do it or if they want or if they want the other person to do it. I'm not doing it. That's the whole point of me saying that. I've got to pick a number. I know exactly what number. Cool. Closest without going over. Jess, you go
Ryan, I'll let you pick. Oh, I was gonna say I'll let Ryan pick first. I want 37.
This is
38.
I hate you so much.
What a dick.
Ryan, I hate
Price
you
is
with
Right.
such a burning passion.
I almost want to now just make the number 37.
I hate you with such a burning passion. You know what? I'm not playing Thieves with you tonight. I'll go play with
What's
Brinkley
the,
instead.
you said the person gets to pick, right?
Yeah, so the number is 68. But because there's 2, I'm going to divide it in half, which makes it 34, which means you're both over.
We both went over.
Jess gets to choose. Jess gets to choose.
I don't want to do
I was
it.
gonna choose myself anyway to go.
All right, so
Okay,
Ryan's
great.
gonna
Ryan
go.
can do it.
Ryan's going.
Yeah.
Jess
Perfect.
gets
I'll
The
to
do
fates
it.
have decided.
Anyway.
I love you.
I wanted to be a dick for the purpose of being a dick. That's all. I
If
love
you-
Price is Right. I
I
think it's a
also-
great game show.
I also
and that's
want
exactly
you to
what
know
I
that
would
my
do.
favorite thing, the only threat I had was that I wasn't going to play Thieves with you, and we
So-
all know that's a lie.
So McYagi just said the train effect played, and I realized why I didn't play in my headphones is because I turned down the sound. These
Of
headphones
it?
were really cool. I'm gonna take a second before we do the recap. These headphones were really cool because they have
Not sponsored.
not sponsored. I'm not even gonna tell you what brand they are, but there is a chat and a game audio setting, so I can turn chat all the way up, and it just blanks out all of my game audio, which is my regular computer audio. And then there's also on this side like volume audio. So I had the chat audio all the way up because before the stream started, we had the music playing, and I didn't want to hear the music. So that's why I didn't get the sound effect, because that slider was there. Anyway, Ryan, I'm going to pull out a timer. You have 1 minute to recap. You cannot stop talking. If you stop talking, I will make you do it again.
Okay, cool.
No, I won't make you do it again. But if you stop talking, it'll be a bad time.
Yeah, no, we're good.
I'm going to put the timer up and starting now.
Hi, we introduced each other, and that is LQ Does up there. He is a variety streamer, and does lots of stuff there. Then I think we introduced myself, and I'm researcher Ryan. I'm a Pokemon variety streamer and did all that. And this is Jess Horse, super fan and a professional lurker on Twitch, and does all that. And we were doing a critique and overview about what good overlays on Twitch were. We went through a couple of different layout types of a overlap, a baby in the corner, and a touching tips. And we saw a bunch of different overlays, some of which were cool, said a bunch of stuff about color theory and balance and whatnot, and an overarching love for Mick Yagi that everybody should go follow. And then LQ talked about his headphones for a couple of seconds before the recap.
Cool, good. All right, now let's go down to stop. 30 seconds. And go.
Introductions, LQ, researcher Ryan, Horse, and talked about Twitch overlays and stream overlays. Touching tips is one, overlapping is another, and baby in the corner is another. Talked about things that were good and bad, color theory and balance of frame. Mick Yagi is awesome, and LQ Does talked about his headphones and how they switch channels, which is really, really cool.
All right. Let's do 15 seconds. Let's cut it in half again. And go.
Introductions, and we talked about Twitch overlays today, balancing and 3 different types, as well as color theory. Mick Yagi is awesome, and LQ's headphones do really cool things.
All right, 5 seconds. Are you ready?
Hello, Twitch overlays, balance, color theory, things, Mick Yagi's cool, headphones awesome.
All right. 2 seconds, and that'll be the last one.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Mick Yagi is awesome!
Yeah, buddy, yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's the entire point of this podcast.
Whole part of the
entire
Mick Yagi is awesome. And that's the show, everybody. I want to thank Jess, Horse, JZ97 letters and numbers, JSCE 1997. Get them to 50 followers. We're trying to get there.
It's really a terrible username.
Thank you for Ryan. Thank you to Ryan for being here. Super appreciate it. I am trying to figure out where this screen is. There it is. And I hope to see you all next Sunday. I don't know what we're talking about yet, but it's going to be pretty cool. I hope.
Yeah. We'll have fun.
Peace, everybody.
Bye!